everyone. My name is Evie Lupine. Welcome back to my channel, and today I have another video for you all. And today I want to talk about dominant archetypes. Far too many people believe they couldn't possibly be a dom because they don't fit the stereotype we often paint of what a dom is supposed to be. Someone who is controlling, exacting, bold, and impossible to please. While that is one way of being a dominant, it is far from the only option. So let's discuss some of the other ways dominance can manifest beyond that stereotype, because dominance can be as varied and nuanced as you want it to be. I should say, in case you're new around here, what exactly I mean when I say dominant. One common way of describing a dominant is to say they are someone who is receiving power and/or authority in a consensual kink relationship. While I think that's a good definition, an even more straightforward way of thinking about it is this. A dominant is the leader in a relationship. That could look a million different ways and take inspiration from dozens of places. Think about all the ways people are leaders in their everyday lives. CEOs, business owners, military officers, supervisors, trainers, teachers, mentors, coaches, project managers, and even editors. I am sure you can also think of several that I didn't just list, but the point is that all of these positions involve leading in different ways. So why would we ever expect dominance to be a monolith? And one more note before we go forward. As always, the labels I'm about to use are not meant to be boxes to sort yourself into. While labels can help us communicate with others and understand ourselves, they can also trap us and keep us from experiencing kink as our authentic selves. These terms are meant only as rough guideposts. You'll likely resonate with more than one, and may feel like what best describes you is a combination of a bit of one and then some of another. That's totally okay. Use these to better explain what you get out of dominance and what your personal style is, not to pigeonhole yourself and what you're allowed to do or allowed to enjoy, okay? Kink should be a flexible experience, not a series of increasingly tiny boxes, right? With that being said, let's start with the first archetype, the caregiver. The caregiver is the biggest emotional softie out of all the dominant archetypes. They enjoy using their authority to help others through emotional and physical support, being in a privileged position as a confidant and a shoulder to cry on. They often love their partners being vulnerable with them, sharing thoughts and ideas they haven't opened up to anyone else about, or saying how they're truly feeling. How they use their authority is also often linked to the vulnerability of their submissive. For example, selecting what their partner will wear that day, making meals for them, or reminding them to take their medication or supplements. While dismissing these behaviors as babying a partner may be easy, it's not just that. Admitting to someone that you need help putting together outfits for work or setting a budget is a vulnerable thing for an adult to say to a partner, let alone asking that same partner to help, Teaching is often a big part of caregiver relationships as well. Caregivers enjoy hands-on instruction, often by example, gently teaching their partner how to load a dishwasher or use a power tool, and showing them new things don't have to be scary. This can be immensely healing for S-types who were expected to just know how to do it already previously without ever actually having been explicitly taught, only to be faced with frustration when they didn't magically somehow know the right way to put silverware in a drawer. Some caregivers may have a firmer approach with stricter expectations, but the same heart is always there. They want to be a supportive, helpful leader. While a caregiver can most commonly be found in a caregiver-little relationship, caregivers also find themselves in relationships with pet players or submissives who would benefit from a tender hand and more emotional support. Next up is number 2, the hedonist. For a hedonist, dominance is about experiencing pleasure, giving pleasure, and having authority over their partner's sexual expression. They enjoy dictating what their partner is allowed to do with their body, as well as where and when. This can go more in the direction of denial, through placing restrictions on self-pleasure, using chastity devices, or requiring the S-type to ask permission before being allowed release. Or it can go in the opposite direction, expecting the submissive to touch themselves on command and train themselves to perform certain behaviors the dominant finds amusing. Oftentimes, a hedonist will pursue a mix of both under and overstimulation based on what they individually find to be fulfilling. At the more extreme ends, a hedonist dominant may wish to incorporate elements of consensual non-consent or even free use into their relationships. That is, they may want to have unobstructed access to their partner physically and sexually, and they may like playing with the idea that they can do anything they wish regardless of whether their partner actively wants it at that time or not. But the emphasis even then is on pleasure, often even pleasuring their partner despite whether they say they want it or not. Hedonists who value a truly uninhibited kink experience may further incorporate elements of primal play, stripping away the expectations of what is supposed to be normal or typical for humans to like in pursuit of genuine gratification. In a totally different direction, we have number 3, the royal. And for the royal, dominance is about other people taking care of the little things for them so they can focus on other parts of their life, be that work, hobbies, or other things they just find more enjoyable than sweeping the floor. They enjoy anticipatory service and things being just how they like it, with lots of pampering and verbal deference. They may not enjoy giving a submissive direct continual oversight because, that would distract them from one of the main benefits they get from having a DS relationship. Time to focus on themselves. They want to be able to clap their hands and say, "Make me dinner," and have their submissive know what they want and when they want it. Heavy lies the head that wears the crown, after all. So many tough decisions in life. And I know from what I've said so far that some people watching this will take issue with this approach to dominance, claiming it isn't really dominance and that it's just being selfish and greedy. But hey, some submissives like being treated this way. They like serving someone who they know is highly valuable and has a lot of self-confidence. Moreover, with the royal type, because they don't necessarily enjoy active oversight, this leaves the submissive oftentimes with a lot of room to figure out how to do things. The submissive of a royal is oftentimes given a lot of trust and is allowed to do the small things their way, so long as it gets done on time. While the royal type may be less overtly doting than, say, the caregiver, this is not to say they give nothing back. The royal may enjoy, for example, giving their submissive thoughtful gifts or rare but deeply meaningful verbal praise and affirmation. And one common manifestation of this archetype is the dominant princess little. And if this interests you, I already have a video all about that. I'll link down below for you to watch. And next up, for number 4, we have the Motivator. The Motivator sees their dominance as a tool for mutual self-improvement. They're very growth-focused on both sides of the relationship. They tend to see the best in their submissive and are typically encouraging and positive, even when it may be delivered in the form of tough love, such as through giving strict rules and punishments. They're the type to notice all their submissives' little bad habits while helping them find a way to do better. The main difference between the Motivator and the Caregiver type is, for the Motivator, they're helping the submissive work on themselves rather than tending to the submissive directly on their behalf. For example, rather than brushing their submissive's hair for them, they'll help the submissive devise a nighttime routine and keep up with them to ensure they're sticking to it. The Motivator's favorite tools include journals, diaries, habit trackers, task logs, daily sketchbooks, and accountability check-ins. If there is a way to monitor progress and stay on track, the Motivator is going to be the one to use it. A wide variety of submissives can really benefit from a partner with Motivator tendencies, but they're particularly helpful for folks who feel overwhelmed and who need external motivation to make big changes in their life. And that's one of the reasons why a lot of people enjoy being submissive. They want someone to help guide them, and the Motivator is a perfect fit for that. And moving on, we have our fifth archetype, the visionary. This archetype is often an artist or a creative person with a lot of big picture ideas, but they need someone to help with the practical details. They enjoy having the authority to try and make their vision and pie in the sky dreams a reality while having a cheerleader/fan in their corner. They benefit from having a submissive who's a sort of personal assistant for them, handling their daily schedule and the other things that may otherwise escape their notice. As is typical for creatives, they often prefer spontaneity over fixed rules. Think of randomly giving orders and making requests rather than having a pre-written 10-page long contract. This spontaneity can often lead to longer-lived relationships through its inherent flexibility, though many S-types may struggle with the lack of consistency that brings. But for the right submissive who likes staying on their toes while being practical and organized, a visionary can be a great dominant partner. Speaking from experience, they're oftentimes very grateful for somebody who can help them organize their life and figure out what they need to do next. One other benefit that a submissive can get from serving a visionary is the fact that their nature lends itself really well to being creative with their scene design, and they also typically have a willingness to try many different kinks or roleplay scenarios. One other benefit the submissives can get from serving a visionary is the fact that a visionary's nature typically lends itself really well to improvisational scene design, and they also typically have a willingness to try many different kinks and roleplay scenarios too. But next up, we have number 6, the Subduer. For this archetype, the thrill of being in control comes from the struggle it takes to get there. They like feisty or bratty submissives who will not be obedient easily, or S-types who want to be completely broken down, either emotionally or physically, and then exhausted. They like proving that they are stronger and wiser in a concrete way, and that they thus deserve to be dominant. Unlike many of the other archetypes, challenge or even disobedience isn't necessarily an affront to them. Instead, it's an opportunity for them to show how in control they really are. While subduers commonly enjoy physical play like heavy impact, bondage, escape artistry, and wrestling, they can also be mental and emotional in their approach too. This variant will instead make use of tools like fear play, humiliation, mindfuckery, or degradation to conquer their partner. As you may have already guessed, one common outlet for the subduer archetype is the brat tamer. Though not every subduer exclusively plays with brats, subduers may also be found in the world of pet play, where they may be, for example, a pony play trainer who likes breaking wild stallions. They may also gravitate towards predator-prey dynamics or dynamics with consensual non-consent elements as well. And moving on to number 7, we have the manager. The manager likes direct involvement and teaching how things ought to be done. They gravitate towards a training and service submission focused power exchange relationship. They're the D-type most likely to come equipped with a 3-page guide on how they want to have their laundry done and put away, because to them, there is an objectively correct way to fold and store towels, and that way just happens to be theirs, of course. They likely do not enjoy anticipatory service until they have clearly outlined what they expect and under what circumstances they want something. Managers are typically good about giving feedback, but can be more critical, which is not something all S-types can handle. Though some managers like setting up impossibly high expectations, for the most part, they do want their subs to be able to succeed. They can be inclined to helicopter and micromanage their partners, although many S-types like that feeling of being watched very closely. In general, though, they gravitate towards active oversight rather than a more hands-off approach. Two good things about a managing D-type partner is that you'll always know exactly what you're supposed to be doing, and you'll always know exactly where you stand with them. That clarity and direction can be very comforting and allows many S-types to be able to sink more fully into their role, since they don't have to guess at what they're supposed to be doing or how they ought to be acting. And for our penultimate archetype, we have number 8, the Tyrant. And I imagine this one is going to be a bit controversial. The Tyrant's key trait is their impossibly high expectations. Nothing you do will ever be good enough for them. They are likely cold and emotionally distant, or at least they roleplay that they are anyways. Dominance to them is about getting what they want, whatever they want, that second. Words like bossy and domineering come to mind when describing the tyrant, so it's important to make a distinction between a consensual tyrant and a wannabe fake dom who thinks all dominance is about bowling people over. The tyrant only behaves the way they do within negotiated dynamics, whereas the fake expects all submissives, or anyone they perceive as being submissive, to bow down and kiss their feet instantly. Consensual tyrants often use emotional sadomasochism and humiliation, making their S-types perform degrading and impossible tasks over and over and over again, knowing full well that they will never tell them they're actually doing a good job. They're also one of the archetypes most likely to include heavy physical play in their scenes and in their relationships. While the tyrant is undoubtedly not for everyone, they give their partners a unique opportunity to fully immerse themselves in a specific type of roleplay that many do find satisfying. And counterintuitively, tyrants can also help submissives who want to challenge their perfectionism and need for external validation. It's not an ordeal all such S-types will be equipped to go through, though, but it can be healing for the right ones who are willing to try it out. And now finally, we have number 9, the Absolutist. The best way to describe an Absolutist is this: they want nothing less than everything. Ideally, every piece of the submissive's heart, body, and mind. They want the option to exert their authority down to the tiniest details, even if they may not always exercise it. Having complete access is their motivator. They want nothing between them and what they desire. They want to be able to act on a whim to do whatever fancies them at the moment, rather than being tied down to a slim set of specific rules or protocols. The Absolutist thus often favors relationships that include dynamics like free use, also known as being able to use their partner when they want, however they want, and that's that. Unlike the Hedonist, though, the Absolutist will pursue free use for more than just sexual access and pleasure. They use free use for every part of their relationship, whether that be their partner's diet, personal style, or even the name they go by. In some ways, the Absolutist is the closest archetype to a pure dominant, because they want to control for the sake of it. They are motivated by control. It's an extreme version of that to many, they will not be super into, but for the right person, there is a beauty to the simplicity of just, I want to control everything. And on a final note, as we wrap up, I want to point out that I never specified the level of power exchange being done in any of these particular styles. Any of these archetypes can be done in a way where it's very low level, weekend only, scene only, once off, once a year type settings, or they can be done all the way out to a 24/7 total power exchange dynamic. You can be a caregiver, you can be a hedonist, you can be any of those ones and be 24/7, or just trying it out one time because you feel like it. You don't have to be necessarily choosing which one resonates with you the most or which ones you like the sound of because you think they say something about the volume and the frequency of the power exchange happening. This is, again, a general guideline. These can all be turned up and down in intensity depending on exactly how those things manifest for you. But with that all being said, I hope that you all found this helpful. For the archetypes that I have more specific references to, like the parts where I talked about brat tamers and dominant littles, I will have those videos linked down below. If you have any questions or thoughts, please share them in a comment down below, especially if you feel like there was a big one that I missed or something that you think maybe wasn't really included in any of these archetypes. I think recording this now, I'm realizing maybe I didn't necessarily include one that's like really romance focused and focused more on the emotional state of the relationship. So just maybe at the end here, I'll throw out like a brief little reference to like number 10, the romantic or something, and we'll maybe flesh that out in maybe another video at some other point in time. But yeah, that's going to be it for now, guys. Thank you all so much for watching. Again, I'd love to hear your thoughts in a comment down below. If you did enjoy this and are ready, please do subscribe because I make videos twice a week about all different kink and BDSM related topics. And finally, if you want to support what I do, the best you can do this with Patreon. A link to that will be down below. If you do already support over there, thank you so much. It means the absolute world to me. And until I see you all next time, I hope you have a great rest of your day and a great rest of your week. Bye-bye.